Hey everybody, it's Minius here to talk about the tech powers, thanks in part to an early look via invitation of Electronic Arts, which is what this watermark in the corner means. There are 9 different tech abilities along with a number of passives to spec into, all of which help you acquire Engineer, Infiltrator, Sentinel, and Explorer profiles, but we're concentrating on the abilities, starting with the first on the list, Overload. Overload is one of 3 abilities to appear in every single Mass Effect game so far, although its animation has changed as the series has gone on. In Andromeda, Overload comes in an arc, which makes it great for bending over cover or objects to hit enemies who are hiding. It can also be charged by holding down the button, so it hops along to multiple enemies. Overload is basically an electrical bolt that does extra damage to both shields and synthetic enemies like the Remnant. It's got a couple of great uses. Obviously, you can use it as is, to strip away shields, to make enemies more vulnerable to your other attacks, or just to damage synthetics. Overload also comes with a bit of a stun to organic targets, but my favorite use of Overload comes with how it can detonate enemies that are primed with other abilities. If your target is frozen, burning, zapped, or affected by biotics, Overload will detonate that target, making it useful for pretty much everybody. You can spec Overload in a number of ways. You can focus on straight damage, buff the recharge speed, and also it can be spec'd to hit up to 5 targets. Next, there's Incinerate, which is probably one of the better, if not best, priming abilities in the game. Essentially, Incinerate launches a fireball that tracks its target, does bonus damage to armor, and adds a damage over time effect. This effect can be detonated with an ability like Overload, and fire combo explosions are my favorite in the game because the resulting explosion can set additional enemies on fire. Unshielded, unprotected organic foes that are set on fire will panic, putting them out of the fight for a while. You can have Incinerate hit enemies over a larger radius, affecting multiples. You can increase your damage over time effect. You can increase damage to armor or just damage overall. You can have a double Incinerate that seeks multiple targets, or you can give Incinerate the ability to detonate prime targets in addition to its already own priming effect, which makes it extremely versatile. Assault Turret is basically the continuation of the Sentry Turret from Mass Effect 3. Using it throws down a tiny hovering turret that shoots at enemies and can attract their attention away from you and your allies. You can buff up your turret's health, give you the option to call in another sooner, buff its damage, or give it the ability to prime its targets for combo explosions in 2 different ways. Cryo Ammo gives the turret's bullets a freezing quality that chills enemies, an effect you can detonate, and Flamethrower gives your turret a flamethrower that sets enemies on fire, which is an effect that you can also detonate. Cryo Beam is a lot like having an enormous and vicious bottle of cold spray attached to your wrist, only the range on this thing is incredible. Holding down Cryo Beam allows you to spread this effect to multiple enemies, which weakens enemy armor, lightly damages shields, and then slows down and eventually freezes unshielded and unarmored enemies stiff. This chill effect can then be detonated by any detonator ability for a cryo explosion. You can increase the damage, the recharge speed, and the radius of the stream, along with adding a debuff to enemies, enhancing the combo explosions of frozen enemies tremendously, or using the beam to create a trap that enemies can later get stuck in. Energy Drain allows you to siphon away the energy of others and add that energy to your own shields. And it works on any type of enemy, but is far more effective against enemy shields and synthetic enemies. Like Overload, Energy Drain detonates any prime target for a combo explosion. The recharge speed, though, is a bit longer than other detonators. You can reduce that recharge speed. You can increase Energy Drain's effectiveness. You can give Energy Drain an area of effect boost, allowing it to hit 3 extra enemies. You can turn this effect into a damage over time, which acts as a primer for other abilities, and you can also extend this shield boost to your allies. Personally, I really like the option to add a primer to this ability. It makes it very versatile. Tactical Cloak is a tech ability, previously only usable by the Infiltrator class in Mass Effect only. Now it can be used by everybody. Using Tactical Cloak hides you from enemies, allowing you to get away or deal bonus damage to enemies while cloaked. And this works great for sniper rifles and heavy-hitting guns, but also works well for up-close melee attacks, and now works for increasing the damage of all your abilities overall, which allows you to go get Trooper on some enemies, which I've wanted to do for a while. Keep in mind that while you are cloaked, your health and shields will not regenerate, but you can fix that by looking at the tree, which we're going to do now. You can increase the recharge speed of Tactical Cloak, increase your damage output while cloaked, you can increase how long your cloak lasts or your movement speed while cloaked, You can extend the time that you were hidden after an attack by 2 seconds, or take away the health and shield regeneration stops that I mentioned earlier. As far as Tactical Cloak is concerned, be creative. It's a damn useful ability. The next tech ability is called Flamethrower, which is basically the flamer ability from Mass Effect 3's multiplayer, and does exactly what you think it does. It shoots out a jet of fire that damages enemies directly and over time, and causes bonus damage to armor, sets enemies on fire, which is an effect that can be detonated by other abilities. You can boost Flamethrower by increasing its damage over time and duration, its damage to armor. You can increase its recharge speed, expand its reach, and give burning enemies a damage output debuff. Keep in mind though that you need to get in close to use this flamethrower effectively, so it's good to bring along abilities or spec into things that can help you do that. Then there's the Remnant Vi ability, the only ability that you can't get to right away. To acquire your pet overseer, pick up PB as a squad mate, and be sure to talk to her back on your ship. A couple of steps later, you'll have another drone to play with. It's very similar to the assault turret, except your personal remnant can hide and repair itself and ultimately stick around for a very long time. You can boost its survivability, reduce the time you need to call in a replacement, you can turn your remnant into a distracting tank or a damaging distance fighter, and finally, you can give your remnant the ability to either prime or detonate enemies. Missiles will detonate prime targets, and the electric beam will add a charge to its regular attack, which can then be detonated by other abilities. The final tech ability is called Invasion, something that's completely brand new, although shares some things with historic Mass Effect abilities. Invasion unleashes a VI-controlled machine swarm that spreads to multiple enemies, which makes those enemies weaker, does some damage, and also stuns unprotected enemies briefly. You can increase the recharge speed of Invasion, cause it to affect an extra enemy, increase the enemy debuff. You can extend the life of the ability as well as the range of its spread. You can use it to reduce the damage output of affected enemies, or cause enemies to explode once they reach 15% health, which pretty much kills all of them and damages other nearby enemies. I view Invasion as a great secondary ability if you want to use guns and stuff, but ultimately these abilities are meant to be used in any combination that you feel like. There is no wrong way to play Mass Effect Andromeda. Currently I'm going through with, I guess, a tech bomber, using Overload, Incinerate, and Energy Drain, with the bonus priming and detonating specs to blow everything up, but you can use Tactical Cloak with biotics, or use bots with combat abilities, or whatever. Enjoy the creativity that this game gives you. And if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps out the channel. Keep an eye on MiniusGC for more abilities and other Mass Effect videos, but for now...
That's all. Thanks for your time.